on cover. We're going to get started. Russell, you have safety seconds.
Yes, thank you. So I was thinking about this today. Back in the day, I used to be a bus driver for Logan City when I was going to college. And we used to do safety things all the time because safety is especially important when we're driving people. And they had a concept that they would always remind us. And it was the concept of 329 in 1. So if you have, and this is based on, I don't know, maybe they're not true, but the idea is that if you have 300 unsafe actions, then that can produce 29 small incidents and 1 large incident. And so the idea being that if you can reduce the number of unsafe actions, then you will reduce the number of really bad incidents. And so I love the idea of having safety seconds and reminding ourselves of safety. And as I go about in my day, if I'm working on stuff in the backyard or something and an incident happens, I almost stepped on a rake the other day and I need to remember. And so as I'm more conscious about that, then I'm more aware, and the more aware we are, the more likely we are to stay safe and avoid the small incidents and the large incidents. So awareness is the key.
Turn on 5 minutes. Elaine.
Set your clock.
I was going to tell Wayne, you got to be my timer.
I gave each one of you one of our new gift giving guides. Megan created this, and if you take a second and look through it, each of our major events is listed in here, and there are different levels of sponsorships. If we can do this, it could really transform what we do in our events. So what she's asking of us, she sent around an email, and attached to the email is a spreadsheet. Open up the spreadsheet, put your name, and then list the businesses or the rich people that you know that you want to get money from. That way we don't contact somebody twice. And then contact that person either in person, which is probably the best, and explain this, or there's a link in there to where you can email this to them. So do your best with this. Don't be shy. Ask for money. I was at Starbucks before they closed, and I saw Mr. Basso, and I thought, ask him for some money. So I had him come sit at our table, and I told him about the music festival and how everybody's working together. And he said, "How much do you need?" Well, I wasn't ready for that. And I said, $3,000. You got it. I thought, oh crap, I should have gone higher.
Is he the sold out?
Yeah, I should have gone higher.
Is he our sold out Rock Legend sponsor?
He's the presenting, so he's going to be number 1.
Nice.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. But please do this. It can really make a difference in what we do. This could turn into a real thing. It looks so nice. It makes us look good.
Yeah.
There. I'm done.
This looks great when you tell Megan thank you. I mean, we have, but now that it's printed, it looks fabulous.
Yeah, it does.
We move to Monica next.
Sure. So I've got 3 or 4 things to present and pass around, but I did ask Monica to come tonight and do an overview for everybody on upcoming open enrollment. It's a pretty big deal. It's a really, really big deal. It matters deeply. So dates, times, details. We'll just turn a few minutes over to you, Monica.
Yeah, I will, if you want to just take a couple of these and pass them down. So I'll just take a few minutes to review our upcoming open enrollment and highlight a few key updates regarding our PHP benefits plans for the upcoming year. So right here on the top, open enrollment will be held on April 28th from 10 to 11. I'll be here at City Hall in the auditorium. So we'll have representatives from NFP, and they'll present and walk our employees through the plans, answer questions, and then they'll just provide some guidance on coverage options. So all of our employees currently enrolled in city insurance plans are encouraged to attend so that they can stay informed and make needed adjustments for the new plan year. So from a renewal standpoint, the overall medical plans increase came out at approximately 1.2%, which is a very reasonable adjustment and positions us well compared to broader market trends. And then looking specifically at our Summit Exclusive Custom Traditional Plan, those renewals over the past several years have ranged from moderate to higher increases, including 13.2% last year. So this year's overall adjustment is comparatively stable. And then for the HSA option, that's our high deductible option 3. This one renewal increases is 0.9%, which is also minimal. And then our prescription plan pricings also saw slight decreases in several options, which is positive for employees utilizing these benefits. And then on the dental plan, the preferred dental care plan, which is 3.9% renewal increase. The updated monthly rates will be, as far as single, you can see down there on the bottom of your page, $36.46. For double coverage is $72.78. And then the family plan is $113.38. And then the plan continues to include the $1,500 orthodontic benefit. So overall, the upcoming plan year reflects manageable adjustments across the board, particularly with medical increases remaining relatively low. So again, open enrollment will take place on April 28th, so if you could just help spread the word to your departments and everybody, so we can get everybody there.
And it's about a week or a week and a half following that is the time period.
Yeah, we'll keep it open for about a week and a half. So, but yeah, that's about all I have. Any questions or anything?
What day did you say you'd be in the auditorium?
What was that?
Which day, what time will you be in the auditorium?
From 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
Yep.
Thank you, Monica. So a few things I want to run through with everybody, and I'll kind of pass those around so you have a copy. Is right now the criminal prosecution contract is out on its RFP. Those are due back next week, and so probably first part of April, I would say, see that come up on your agenda for the updated contract. On that one, typically that's a 5-year contract. The one that I passed out a week ago, or a month ago now, was the garbage collection contract, and so that's on your agenda tonight. And I did have copies of that I can pass around as well. So that process has found its way to, after tonight, that'll be set to go. Another one that'll, a companion to that, will be coming up probably in another month or so, would be the garbage rates resolution. The good news is that one's going to go down a bit based on the way the contract's coming together. So there's two or three components to that. There's the cans themselves, the tippage, and then also the administrative cost. And so there's some accounting wizardry that Lisa does in her office. And like over the next month or so, we'll have that resolution come forward for those rates. That's part of the annual budget process. I did also want to bring up, so about 2 months ago now, kind of on the staff end, we opened up and reviewed the purchasing policy, made some changes, decided we needed to make more changes, made those. It was a month ago at this meeting, I passed that around. I didn't get any comments at all. So I just wanted to follow up with everybody on that document, if you're comfortable with moving forward with the approval on the update. I see you kind of nodding yes on that, Mayor. I don't know if anybody else had any comments on that. Like I said, I passed out that red line a month ago.
I have a question actually on the RFP for the sanitation services.
Okay.
So I got the email, went through it, and I see that someone was chosen for that, and that we are to vote on that. We're to vote on that tonight.
Yeah, the contracts.
However, when was that presented to us? The choices, or who bid, or they were singular bidders, or
Well, there was a committee arranged
okay.
that went through that and made that recommendation
And
to
who
the
makes
council.
up that committee that makes those decisions before it comes to us?
Well-
Before we see anything?
There was two things, so I don't know that there was a decision made before it came. There was 3 bids, 2 that didn't qualify.
Okay.
Actually, I'm trying to remember
They
what.
didn't fit like the requirements.
Right,
of the
they didn't meet the
application,
minimum
or
requirements,
What the minimum
yeah.
requirements, okay.
I'm trying to remember when that meeting was held.
So only one of the 3 met the minimum requirements. What was the pricing on the other ones versus this one? I mean,
They were
or
much
did
higher.
They were actually more
They were
expensive.
higher.
They were
Okay.
higher.
Okay, that's what I was.
So this one would have ended
That
up
was on
even if
February
all 3 of them.
19th, Nick.
Was it the 19th? Yes, that was Tanner, Lisa, Jen Robinson, Mayor, Billy Hiles, and actually you were on that list. Yeah, so that
Making
was,
sure.
yes.
Since we're voting on it, I want to make sure.
Yeah, so that one's on tonight, and I said the cost is good, but there was also some technical problems with a couple of the other submissions. So everybody.
And how is that in comparison to what our current contract has done?
So, there's escalation every year.
Sure.
So it's a little less than it is now on the per can and less on the tippage as well.
So it's less all over, or just on those 2?
Well, those are the 2 components.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that,
I just
off
wanna
the
make
top of
sure
my
I
head in round
understand.
figures, that probably close to, maybe close to about $120,000 a year in savings.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Sounds
it's a
good.
good deal, yeah. So everybody comfortable, I guess council members, I'm kind of looking on that purchasing policy, I'll prepare that. Okay. The other one I wanted to pass around here is, a little while back, we had an issue, I'll keep going so I can speak to it. We had an issue, or I shouldn't say an issue, we had some circumstance where we've started having quite a few people that have been doing events and activities in the public right of way. So not necessarily renting the park or something like that, but they're, doing their thing on the sidewalk. And, it's America, you get, there have been some real last minute things. Man, we got to get we didn't know who to contact and stuff. Chief, I think you had some good input on that about issues with some people not behaving real well, as well as a lot of garbage cleanup and stuff. So, passed around a form that's kind of an information form. It also says that there'll be a fee that you have to pay to do it. You have to turn your form in ahead of time with contact information. I don't know that those are some placeholders that, I think 10 days is what, that's what it says, 10 days. If we decide that 7 is fine, that's fine too. So I think this is ready for a few more eyes on it and a review, and then we can decide if we want to do something with it.
I do have a question on the fee, because I just saw that another community had put a fee on that, and it was struck down as, non-constitutional, not valid. I know that in the state statute, when we put a fee on, we have to reflect how that cost has been generated to justify the fee.
Yeah, and
Are we there with
Well,
that? It seems a little high to me.
And I think so too. And I would also say that there's probably a refundable nature if you pick up all your garbage and you don't leave a mess too. So. But I would just say comments, suggestions, And, let's refine that a little bit. I don't know where there's a hurry to do anything on that.
So I do have a question.
Sure.
So you're wanting, basically, anybody that wants to use any of our public spaces to have a permit for their event?
Well, I'm not wanting anything. I'm just saying, I had a lot of city employees coming to me with concerns over commotion and
And that's
issues
valid.
that
So-
were created. So,
So are we referring to the recent, because it was brought up, the recent gatherings, in fact, Grulies are in here, I see, and they had brought up the recent gathering with the protests. Silent
Yeah, I think
protests, of
that's
course, are
something.
constitutional,
Yeah.
they can do those. And so, but they planned a gathering, and they plan to be there. So where do we draw the line on what is considered an event, what are we going to permit for, and this permit for $250 is crazy.
well, then, it doesn't have to be 250. It can be whatever the council decides.
Right, so we're discussing it, so that's what I'm
Exactly.
trying to bring up.
And then, I said, I was just taking input from city departments that were experiencing difficulty.
Well, and absolutely, I mean, we need to hold people accountable, they can't just leave trash and our people are expected to
And I
clean it
think
up.
there's-
We
That's
get
what
that.
they do.
But
Or
we
they
have to
flood
be
the
Some don't,
toilets.
some don't, some
I
do.
think there's been some very last minute
putting
things.
a 10-day thing for somebody to have an event, somebody might have something last minute come up, and where do we draw the line on who we permit? Because like we're trying to be more fair with the auditorium and things like that, how are we fair to everybody? So how do we have something straight across the board, where do we draw that line?
I agree. I think that's part of the discussion.
I
Part of
think
the
that might be a
commentary.
good thing that we could put together a small committee, talk about it, have law enforcement be on that committee.
And I think one of the
Anybody
things
else?
is-
So then we have a committee, and then it comes back to the council for
Yes,
discussion?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
You know,
I'll be on it.
I think one of the things that I heard come up was some of the last minute stuff, and it's come up where it's literally 10 o'clock and we're doing something at 2 o'clock, and there's not good contact information for people, particularly for the chief to have.
That's the
To have
biggest
proper
thing,
context.
is to have notification for what we need to adjust to our schedules, so we need to know if there may be chaos or.
Well, and that brings up, like Julie was saying in our last meeting, about not having presence there. And people are saying, hey, come out. Well, first of all, we don't all just sit in here, but to have that presence, the police presence, and so I get that, that if it's
I
something.
want to assure
we
everybody
need to
here
be sure
that there is presence there.
That you have, okay.
We
I
have
figured
had
there
our
would be.
eye on every one of them, so I just want everybody to know.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have an estimated number of attendees and what we're kind of expecting out of all this.
And I think those,
I think
a couple of the
that's
last ones were such last minute that it really caught particularly PD off guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a third one planned too.
Well, and to be held
I'll be
accountable for that,
glad.
that's not fair either if we weren't aware in plenty of time, so I get that.
So we can look at putting that together, and
Okay.
anybody else that would like to have input on that?
Well, I was gonna ask, is that something that you push at me with this thing that we may get approved tonight?
The progress
With
committee?
your progress committee?
Is that something that,
Well, you could, and you're
I think
part of
that's
that.
reasonable.
Yeah.
You guys could, and then we
Yeah.
have public input on it as well.
Yeah.
just a question?
Oh, you do?
I
would
would
have
I like
another
that.
committee.
Yeah,
Good form for it.
I like that, Richard, because you've got residents, you've got public in that committee.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
That's fair.
I think that's good.
So we'll just,
So,
we'll add
I'll
this to,
assign that to Richard to put that together.
And one last one is, it's come up, kind of a little bit of a wonky one is, as you're coming to Price on the highway from the Helper direction, there's a billboard just before you take the exit there by the hospital. Right now it's got USU Eastern on it. That billboard's actually owned by Price City for a long time, as long as anybody can remember. We used to have come to the pool, I think, on it, but I think for a dozen, 15 years, it's had the USU Eastern message on it. There's an issue with the property owners it's a licensed billboard along the UDOT road. But there's some access issues and some easement issues, and then the access isn't good. You can't get in there to change it. So there's a little bit of a chase going on there. There's a committee set up, I believe next week, Mayor, you're on that we'll be looking at that and deciding, maybe some thoughts on how to address that. Do we want to keep the billboard? Do we want to chase the easements? Do we want to surplus the billboard? Do we want to, just give it to our good friend, the university, because really they use it? But we probably have to get these access points figured out as well. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that one. That's really the list I had tonight there.
Lisa?
So start, you've had all the budget revision, sent it out, talked about all the detail. This is just kind of a summary of the major highlights of that. So if you look down, the blue numbers, that's the amount that the budget's increased or decreased. So we'll kind of go through each fund and some of the major things. So the general fund budget increased by $110,242. Just some things here. Street openings revenue went up $11,700. We got a UDOT reimbursement for some work that we did in conjunction with them for $17,000. So I put that back in Charlie's budget so he could have some asphalt money. The rural transportation infrastructure, we get that in January every year, and that was $12,100 more than what I estimated. We had $134,763,000 in new grants, and so on the opposite side of that, there'd be expenses of that amount as well. We had an additional contribution of $50,935 from ZapTax fund balance. And on the expense side of that, that will be going $50,000 to the capital projects fund for the pickleball project, which the estimate increased by that much at this point. And then the Whibbit that we bought for the pool came in at $935 more than what our estimate was. So that's what that is. And then $212,123 contribution from the rural transportation fund balance, and that's for the street shed. At the end, when we're budgeting, we don't know what we're going to have spent by the end of the year. And so last year, me and Miles were trying to estimate where we were at, and some more expenses went into last year that we didn't anticipate going into last year. So it's just kind of adjusting for that. And so I used all the committed fund balance that we had, and so this year we had to adjust it to use it out of this funding source. Then if we look quickly at the first page of the other packet, the estimated revenues and expenses, I just want to go through this really quickly. I really didn't adjust any of the tax revenues. This is just kind of a little sheet that I use to estimate. So if you look, it'll show where we're at July through November, because at the point, that's all I had up through November, because the state report's 2 months behind. And you can see where we were at in 2025 as compared to 2026. And Elaine sends this out to you every month, what the revenues were and what the amount. So you can see in sales tax, we're only up 1.53%, which is essentially flat with last year at this time. So if you look at where the yellow is, between what I had budgeted and what if projecting that out, if it stayed at that amount, what it would look like, we'd be $44,336 short. So essentially pretty flat. If you look at highway tax there, $8,000 short. Zap tax, $3,000. Transient room tax is a moving target. You never know, because I think people don't report correctly. So it's like 1 month they don't report, and then the next month it's too much, and so that one's kind of, you just never know where that one's going to end up. And then county option down $1,640, and Class C road $3,764. So net about $49,000. So I just let that ride out and see where we're at the end of the year. And of course, we always keep tabs on that every month. So if you look at the next Next, that is after we got the December numbers. I thought I'll go check, and you can see the bottom line changed by being down from 49 to 44,000, so it's staying flat. And then if we look at the next page, that's the franchise taxes. Same thing here. I think the only two I adjusted were the gas and the municipal energy, because those I'm pretty sure aren't going to come in, just based on fuel, what it's been, and looking at the utilities and stuff, I think. So I did go ahead and adjust those two. The rest, they're minimal, so I just let those ride. One fun fact I looked up today, that telephone tax, back in about 2007, was it? That was $209,000, and we're down to $62,000. So if any of you want to take that project on with the legislature and find out, because the only place I've ever got was, well, there's less landlines. I'm like, yes, but what is the original intent of the code?
Yeah.
And because now there's 5 cell phones for every landline. So, and it's a very complicated code. I know Rick Davis tried to look at it. It's very complicated, but that money used to be over $200,000 that we get. Now we're down to, it just continues to go down. We're down to 62. So that's something I'm curious about, have been curious about for a lot of years, and I can never get anywhere with it. But
Does that just get passed through onto the state, or what is that used for?
this,
Yeah, the telephone tax.
it's just money that comes in. It's just a franchise tax that we get.
And where does it go? What does it get used for?
It just gets just general fund money.
Huh.
It goes into our general fund. So that's a huge hole. I mean, over $150,000 to us is a lot of money. And I brought it up, and I know, and then, it's like, well, yeah, other communities have said that too. I'm like, why don't you look at it? So that is a big, if anybody wants to look into that, I'm curious, like, I think the original, what was the original intent when they passed that, and how is it different now?
What do you think it'd be going up since there's so many more
Yeah,
phones
there's so
now?
many more
Well, yeah,
phones.
so it's like, it's very technical, very, very technical code section, but it's just a fun fact. So like I say, I did reduce a couple there, but kind of let those ride too.
So Lisa, does it just affect landlines, so not cellular usage and
It's,
that?
yeah, it's like towers, and it's really complicated, but my whole thing is, well, what was the intent, and shouldn't it kind of, be updated as
And then there used
the
to be a
use
deal that,
changes, so.
we got the electrics, we have the bicycles, power poles, so you have attachments, like cable TV attachments to the poles.
Oh, sure.
And now there's so much less TV, and it's typically a satellite dish, so there's kind of two parts.
Yeah, so it's like, what was the original, and does it need to be changed?
Yeah.
And why did they do that, to allow the revenue in the first place? And so I think it just kind of
And it's
been
hard.
lost.
I mean, I've talked to a number of our legislators, and we just are like, I have no clue.
Once they were asking
And I
you.
can't get them excited. about
Yeah,
it.
no,
So,
it's, tell everybody it's been a concern, because it's gone, everybody's had that, it's gone down some. Okay, so if we look at the expenses, a few key things to note. I'd increased bank charges by $23,000, so I'm going to have Billy kind of look into that and see what areas that credit card charges, is it just regular bank fees, is there anything we can do to look at reducing that? And like I mentioned, we got grants, so associated expenses with that. As the chief already had told you, we had to get some radar units, and so that we were able to move some money around in his budget, and then we had to cover the rest. That was $20,575. We had to increase wayfinding signs, and I think this is going to be a little bit more than this, but this best guess that we had at the time, $4,800. Out of Class C Road, we added $46,050 for pedestrian safety signs. And international days, Richard, this one you'll need to know.
Yeah.
Stage repair, $6,150 for that new section, so I did add that in so that we can get
We
that
were just
taken care of.
About that.
Do you know if that's been shipped or where that's
Yeah.
at?
I don't know where it's at. I know I paid for it.
Well, that's good.
I know I paid for it. I don't know.
That's right, because we need it for the Met Fair.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, We
Take
did
some money
add
from them.
$4,000 to the Renaissance Festival because they weren't aware that, like, whatever is for the festival gets charged there. So they're porta potties and dumpsters, and so if it's for that specific event, it doesn't go to the parks. It goes to the festival, so we can track the costs associated with that. So we did increase that by $4,000. I already mentioned the pickleball and the Whibbit. And then we're going to transfer $48,469 of Class C road to the capital projects fund. That's for the canal crossing project. That's the match money for that. So instead of just taking that out of our capital project fund, we're not going to use Class C road revenue, which qualifies for that. Also, there's a $4,000 contribution to Carbon School District for our share of a new windscreen and slats up at the community baseball fields. So we're splitting that with them. And then we did decrease a lease payment amount on the Class C road vehicle that we're buying. It comes in two parts. You get the truck piece and the dump bed. And so we decided just to buy the dump bed. It's like $50,000. And then just lease the truck portion. So that's what that is there. And then we had to adjust. We decreased the street shed. Not that we decreased the budget. It's just like I was explaining, more expense came in last year, so I had too much budgeted this year. So $97,760, and I think that project's about $800,000 is what we're estimating the final to be on that, around there. So that's just adjusting that to get to that figure. If we move on to the Drug Task Force, we hadn't ever done this before, but Captain Ratcliffe was able to get them to let us carry over unspent funds. Usually you just give them back. And he asked the grant manager, and we were able to carry over almost $13,000 to this year. So we just had to adjust for that because we didn't know that was going to be allowed or not at the end of the year when we did our budget. So that was great to have that money to carry over. The debt service fund, I just reduced. We went through all of our funds and updated our interest calculation, so it just decreased by $1,200 for that. Capital improvement, like I say, we increased the pickleball by $50,000, and then that transfer from the Class C road funds. We did get a $4,000 more in donations, so we increased the pickleball for that. I decreased interest by $14,600. And the mowers, we increased the mower budget by $1,100, and that might be a little under. And that's on the agenda tonight for approval as well. Water sewer, we increased the budget $431,665. We had some grant revenue from one of our projects, our studies, and that came in this year. The expense was in last year, but the money came in this year, so I'd adjust for that. Then if you look at that last page of those other sheets that I gave you, letter size. So this is May 1st, we raised the rates, had to raise the rates in order to apply for the loan for the transmission line. So if you look at where we're at as of January to where we were at last year in 25, we're up 29%. Now, whether this holds through the rest of the year, you don't know how much people are going to water. So we'd be up almost $650,000, which is par with what the debt. So we need to cover the debt payment for the current and get ahead for the next treatment plant project. So it looks like it's right on line, and so that money will be going into fund balance, accumulating for those projects and those payments. So I did go ahead and increase that budget by about $87,000. And then, as you probably know, with the reservoir money, with the NRCS has run out, so we have to finish that project, and based on the estimate, to finish that project, we're going to take unless we are successful in getting some more money from the NRCS, but worst case, we're not. So $218,570 from fund balance, and then the county has agreed to contribute about $107,500 to that, so I adjusted for both of those.
We're hoping to get that, 218,000 from NRCS.
Yeah.
So we make that request and see
Yeah.
what
But worst case, we budgeted it this way.
happens. Right.
So, and that money would come from money we have set aside for water projects. Decreased interest, $53,000. So that total estimate is $326,070 for the reservoir, so that expense was put in there. Another project that we had estimated at about $40,000 was the water problem at the domes, the leaking. And that estimate is now like $180,000, so I had to increase that. Then we put in $23,000 to start on the material storage area down there that will be moving from Olson Reservoir. So that's the first $23,000 is for the fence. And then $73,000 for the city sheriff, the helper interconnect, and our cost share on that project. And then luckily, the HVAC that we budgeted $40,000, that came in at $20,900, so we saved some money there, so I decreased that. Electric, that looks like a big scary number, $1,022,850. That's kind of an unknown, just had to put a number in there because we're not sure. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more tomorrow, but $60,000 new construction reimbursable. This is Rivian, I think. So they've paid us kind of their down payment on their electric. There's been no movement on that yet, as far as I know, but we do have that. So
They're working on that now, so it'll probably be a couple of months before the billing catches up.
We're talking about the car chargers.
yeah, so they did pay us, so I put that in there, and that will sit, and we'll keep track of that. Their interest, I increased a little bit. We did get 21,450 UAMPS distribution, so they look at how all the participants do throughout the year, and we actually were a recipient of either receive money or have to pay money in, and so we always set that money aside to accumulate for infrastructure upgrades, so that was good to add that. The $35,000 in miscellaneous revenue we increased, that's if people get shut-off notices, reconnects, disconnects, that sort of thing. It looks like that's going to be up. Now the next one, to increase the use of fund balance of $902,000. We have the downtown substation, which needs the load tap. Is it charger or changer? We kind of have a good number on that, about 170 for the park. It's getting the transformer or the generator to run the power the city until the park can be changed. That's the question. And we've only got one number that Steve's been able to get, and that number is $500,000.
So that's to bring in something to replace it temporarily.
Yes.
It's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 days.
So that number, we just don't know. We just don't know what that's going to be, so I just put it in there so we have, in case it's like, okay, it's go time, we have to do this, we have a number there. So hopefully that's not the number, but...
These parts are on an unknown.
Yeah, they're on.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why that's such a scary big number. And as far as expenses, we did a city hall substation upgrade, and that came in $66,500 more than anticipated. Then I just talked about the LTC. And then last year, this is just an accounting thing, Rocky Mountain Power. So like I say, Steve, when we're putting in, this would happen to be for the apartments, and he's, billing in advance so that we have the money to put in what they need. And then Rocky Mountain Power didn't bill us until August, and I about had a heart attack. I'm like, what? That's the whole year's budget. And I remembered, oh, it must be that. So it just the revenue and expense didn't line up. So I had to put that in this year. And that's kind of the highlight of the electric. Like I say, that's a big number, but we really don't know what it's going to be. It's just kind of there's a placeholder.
Can I ask one question before why does that building just keep going up? That new building down by the old food bank. seems like it started at this number, and it was 700,000. Now it's 800,000. Why does that thing, I thought we had a bid.
That's 700.
Yeah, I thought we had a bid. I wasn't here when that happened, but it just seems like we keep funneling money into this thing. So why does the expenses keep going up?
When we budgeted the building the first, we did not plan on paying for asphalt out of the building project. We're going to use some more asphalt and cement budget out of our basic budget. And we talked with Lisa, and the best thing to do is add it back into the building to make sure the whole cost is shown. So a lot of that is those expenses that we've included to begin with. You know, we're trying to get by the least expensive possible. So we're trying to use, put in some of the asphalt each year for the asphalt pavement, the parking lot budget, for example. Those kind of savings. Well, we said, no, let's get the final cost and get it all figured out now and again, see what it's going to take to
finish it.
So leave it half done. So that's why the number went up from $750 to $800,000.
Well, and also when we were trying to estimate the building, we didn't know we had to have, what, $100,000 retaining wall?
The first time, we used an estimate from Flawless Sheeting. So they gave us an estimate on the building we should use. They estimated that they could have all the foundation, building, and everything for $500,000. Well, the lowest bid that came in from the construction contractors was $507,000 for just the shell without the foundation. So anyway, and we had to add $100,000 retaining wall that we didn't plan on. There's challenges with the project because of the sloping of the lot. So we just had to move forward and get it done. We already committed to the sold property we're in and take it out of the building.
Right. And a lot of this money only comes out of Class C, or the road money. I mean, it can only be
Right.
used for
That
that
comes out of maintenance
purpose.
money.
Right.
But it just seems like we just keep funneling money into this thing. And it's never
This
done.
should be the final number.
Yeah.
That we just said, hey, instead of taking those monies from the parking lot budget and other things from the streets, let's just put it all, the final number on the building. That makes sense.
So then is any of that coming like out of our general fund and things like that that could be going somewhere else, or is it just
It has to go to streets.
streets money? Okay.
It's coming from our streets budget.
That and then the cost of so what we do is when we sell something, we have a property maintenance code policy. So that money goes in. So if we sell easements or little property or whatever, we put that in a fund, and that's all it can be used for. And so we had accumulated, I think, like $80,000 in there, plus the money that we got from the sale of the food bank. So that money was used last year. That fund balance was used last year, and then the rest of the money has been coming from the rural transportation. And we got permission from UDOT to use that money for that.
The sale was $350 for the
$250.
building.
$250 and there was 70, 80 grand, so it was probably
$312. $312, it's on there.
$312.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, we
So,
should be saving a little bit, right? Isn't the city employees doing all the flat work, the asphalt?
Yeah, the price of the building would be a lot more if we weren't doing all the interior finish ourselves.
But like the asphalt and the cement?
Yeah, and that would be a lot more. We're just paying for the material of the asphalt.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That'd be double that.
So this should be it. There shouldn't be another
well, there's going to be
100,000 more and 100,000
the
more.
one unknown is don't know about getting fiber internet or anything down there. That's Steve and
That's a future.
Steve.
So there
Steve
could
and
be
Seth
more
have no idea
infrastructure
about
costs.
that. So
I guess why wasn't that all put in the bid? I'm just
'Cause
questioning.
we had to get out
because
by a
it
certain
seems like
date.
we're paying a lot of money for a metal building. So,
Heated metal building with wood shop set up.
I understand, but
But don't you know that when you buy it? I mean, I'm
Well,
feeling what Richard's saying, because if we get a bid, we expect it to be close, but when we're jumping hundreds of thousands, it's just a big
Well, our
thing to
mistake
swallow.
was we should have got more opinions on the first price because Flawless never bid on the project after they told us the amount. They must have come up with the wrong number.
So lesson learned. Lesson learning.
learning.
the pool, The only thing, we have to replace the HVAC up there, so I'm gonna take that out of their fund balance, 20,000. We need to do that soon, probably, because it's starting to get warm. Stormwater, their budget went down 65,000. Their fees are actually up a little bit, and their Woodhill Road regrading, that wasn't part of the EWP, it wasn't covered. So we had estimated that to be about 100,000, but the county did help us out with some of that work, so that actually cost us a lot less. So I was able to reduce that by 68,400. So
That's the road
that
that
was
goes
good.
up onto Woodhill that we redid.
So that was good news with that. So overall, the total city budget went up $1,587,520,000. And like I said, the biggest piece of that is the electric fund, and that's not a for sure. That's just an unknown that we have to deal with. So, and then if you look at kind of how we balanced it on that last page, it'll show you, what the original budget was, what the revised budget was, and then the increase, decrease that's on the first page. And then, could we go through and trying to reduce, this expense or increase this revenue? Yes. But, for example, like the chief, he's down an officer now, so I know, there's probably going to be some excess there, and there probably already is some excess there, but we don't know at what level he's going to be able to hire somebody, and we don't know what his overtime's going to end up being, and so, and then we have workers' comp adjustments at the end of the year, so we usually just kind of adjust all of that at the end of the year, so we're not adjusting up and down and up and down. So, are these really going to come out of fund balance? Likely not, because we're not going to spend everything that we've budgeted. But I don't like to go and change too many of those line items unless we know, unless they've said, like, I'm not traveling, I'm not, and they'll reduce those on their own. And then I went through and like, fuels, and I'm like, oh, great, now cost of oil. So I might be adjusting some of those back up. Like, you just don't know.
Well, not in
And
this revision,
so-
but that one we mentioned, that workers' comp, for next year's budget, that'll probably be about 12 grand less than this year.
And electric, me and Nick talked, and we didn't do any adjustments there in revenues or the cost of power, because the net of it is, we're fine, net-wise. And here again, I don't know if some big bill shows up in June, that we always budget long, because sometimes a $730,000 bill shows up. So here again, we like to just have more, so we'll look at that more at the end of the year and really tighten things up just so we can see where we're going to end up. So, and then the transfers that are on the agenda tonight too, what we do is mid-year we transfer half. So we'll transfer half to the pool, half to the drug task force, half from the electric to the general fund. I don't transfer ZAP tax till the end of the year till I know for sure what was spent, because I like to transfer just the exact amount so I don't have to restrict it in another fund if I don't have to. So we don't do anything with that till the end of the year. So. And then there's the Zions lease on there. Like I say, we just are leasing the truck piece, $173,000, and paying cash for the bed. And then that helps us so that we can preserve some of our money for our ongoing beach striping and crack sealing and that sort of thing, all cash out. Because we did buy one truck out of there already, cash this year. So that's just kind of the cash management for that. So I think that covers all that I have on there.
Okay, got a few minutes. Yeah.
Recall a couple meetings ago, we brought up the issue of waiving fees for rentals in the building, but never charging deposits while waiving those fees, cleaning deposits. And again, people use the building freely and then dirty for us to clean up afterwards. This is a proposal we're putting together for the new structure on charging the deposit. That's what the first page is the new proposal. The second page is what we're currently using. We simplified the deposit into two rates, one for 50 and less, and one for 50 and more. They have to pay, it's refundable if they clean
groups that have been, there's two acting companies. Another one came and talked to me the other day. Two acting companies, the choir and the youth orchestra, that are all using the building and performing. And those that I've talked to so far are very understanding of this cleaning deposit and no other issue with it. But we're going to gather them together, sit down, make some ground rules, talk about what is expected when they're here, how they keeping noise down during working hours, that there will be a fee to, there won't be a rental fee. We can waive that, but if they are here after hours, they will be paying for a staff person to be in the building because we need to increase our security. We've, been being told that that's just one of those things that the trust is asking us to do, is to improve the security of how we're doing with the building. So we'll work with all those groups, get them scheduling, get a schedule out there so there's no conflicts, find ways that they can store their equipment without, blocking somebody else using the stage, because I've kind of heard of that being an issue. So we'll get them all together in one room. We have that we've already set up, and
Talked to all the users today.
yeah.
And then when they talked about that in the last meeting and storage space, is that even an option? Is that something you're going to
I
address
don't
in
know
that meeting
if
too?
we're kind of tight on storage
Yeah.
space, so it may
I
be
would
something
request
we'll have
that
to talk.
the city gets
We'll have
that
to
first.
talk with where people are, and once we get everybody together, we can work on those issues. But
Or a rental
what we want to do
fee,
is we want to be fair across the board and make sure that we're giving those same groups all the same opportunities. We want to encourage use of our facility. I mean, it's a beautiful auditorium. We want that to happen. So we're not doing this to try and cut people out. We're trying to actually do it in a way that we are more inclusive. So
I think getting the
No, I
groups
think it's
together
good.
to have the same talk
Yeah.
is one of the biggest things we can do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've already got that in the works.
When I talked to them today, they were all really
With the recent
excited.
issues and stuff, I think it's just necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we may want to add those fees for the staffing to this.
Yes,
Right, too,
yeah.
well.
So that people can understand what those are.
Get that figured out, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a couple quick updates. Canal crossing replacement on Carbon Avenue is on schedule on time. Traffic study, we received the final copy back yesterday on the traffic study, so we're going to get together with the Road Safety Audit Committee and look at, have that presented to us by Jones in the mail to explain what they came up with, and then have more discussion about options for increasing safety on 30th and 4th North. We're out for bid right now on the pipe for the spring line project, the transmission line replacement project, and we're actually out for bid for pickleball as well, with a pre-bid meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. And we're working on quotes for the City Hall security issue, and we'll defer everything else to next time.
Just quickly, since it's become an issue that you all may have had, we did get water results back and had a meeting today. It is definitely not the wells, and it's most likely not our water. They can't say it's not, but it's most likely not our water. So the next step then is we're going to be addressing how to deal with moving that water to an appropriate place and getting it all the city streets. So
So if it's not the well and it's not ours, where's it coming from?
Yeah, who is it?
groundwater,
I think
they
it's from your yard, Wayne.
I have one little tiny piece of grass in the back.
Quit watering
No,
it.
because they actually have identified other places that type of water has been coming out of those hills. They think that it's just, and it can be water that came from a storm years ago that is finally percolating down. And it's been in the ground for a while. That's one thing that they said, that it's picked up a lot of, there were like iridium and tritium and all kinds of things that we talked about today.
I had somebody ask me at dinner.
So anyway,
Last
we
night
are
about it, so
continuing to
I'm
move
glad.
forward, and we're looking at funding and obviously ways to move that water so that we're not putting it in the sewer system.
Don't drink it.
Send it down to the wave pool.
Oh,
You
we'll
guys
increase our
have
chemical
anything else?
costs.
Not enough time to do it, so we're good. We'll just see it in the budget.
I'm sure. We have pancake breakfast on Saturday. If you guys would like to come for supper Saturday. Yes, the fire station. 9:30 to 11:30 right before the.
Right.
I can't be there, but I'm gonna buy a Valley's again.
All right, perfect. Appreciate it.
Green pancakes?
So make those extra.
No, we were thinking about it,
Okay.
but I don't know if I can.
We can have early morning something and then we'll do.
I agree. We thought.